Everything is going to be okay. I got this download this morning while I was half asleep that I needed to tell you this. Everything is going to be alright. Because everything always works out the way it's meant to. In life, everything works out the way it's meant to work out. Everything unfolds the way it's meant to unfold. And knowing this, then you can trust in life. You can trust that it's going to unfold naturally. That everything's going to be alright no matter what happens. No matter what happens, it's all going to be okay. You know, we go through life just worrying about this thing, worrying about that thing. You know, we're driving to work and we're worrying about work. And then we're at work doing our job and we're worrying about the drive home, you know, how much traffic there's going to be, how much stuff is going on, what we're going to eat for dinner, what's going on at home. You know, all this stuff, we all worry about it. And it's natural, it's a natural human thing to worry. You know, through evolution and all this stuff. Worrying was a good thing when you're a caveman or something, because if you worried that a tiger was going to come leap out at you from the bushes, then you're more likely to survive. If you have that kind of pre-worry going on in your head than a caveman that's just, you know, totally fine, totally chill. The caveman with the worry is more likely to survive. So it's our instinct, in our DNA, our evolution to worry about all this stuff. You know, it's natural, it's kind of just part of us and something that we have to live with. And when you can kind of step back from this worry, when you can kind of realize, like, hey, everything's divinely planned. It's all kind of laid out for you. Then you can, you know, your mindset shifts. You know, for a while, I was just kind of living life. I hadn't really gotten to this spiritual stuff yet. For quite some time, like, you know, I only got into this spiritual stuff, you know, slowly around 17, 18, all that kind of area. But now that I'm way more into it, I can see that, you know, your soul, it has a plan before you incarnate into this physical realm, into this physical world. Your soul, it makes a plan for your life. You know, everything's kind of laid out in the stars for you. Everything's planned out. But it's a loose framework, though. I've said this before in previous videos. It's not like a plan like this, or it's not everything's written perfectly, meticulous, you know. This morning you're not going to brush your teeth, but at night you will brush your teeth, but then the next morning, no, it's not that specific. It's more like a loose framework, like, okay, you're going to meet this person around this time. You're going to get this job at this time. You're going to apply for this job, but, you know, you're not going to get it because it's not meant to be for your soul's path, for your soul's evolution. And when you can see this, when I see this, you know, after reading some really powerful books about your soul's plan, your soul's journey, these books and these ideas, it just makes so much sense because everything's laid out for you. I was meant to find those books because my soul had planned it for my evolution and kind of for my purpose in this life too. Your soul and your life path, it always has a plan, but you have free will as a human being too. So it's kind of like there's there's multiple paths you can take in this loose plan, right? There's different branches of the tree that can branch out depending on what you choose to do, which choice you choose to make. But when you realize that, these things that happen in our life are all kind of divinely planned, divinely, created by our soul before we incarnate, with the help of guides and spirits and, other entities, beings in the spirit world before we come down to this earth, before we, squish our soul into the developing baby, the developing fetus. We have this plan, and we plan it out really well. And so realizing this, it's like everything's going to be all right. Because no matter what happens, it's in the plan. If you take a turn in your life that you think is for the worst, you're meant to take that turn. It's in your soul's plan that you were meant to go down this path. This negative path that it seems like it's not really serving you, it's really messing you up. Maybe you get a bad job, a really bad job that you do not like, right? That might seem bad in the moment, and you're really getting worried about it. But you're meant to be at that job for a reason. This is what happened to me. I got fired from my electrical, or no, I didn't get fired. I left the electrical job because it was too dusty and it was messing my health up, like my lungs and everything. I was getting like dust in my eyes, like fiberglass insulation in my eyes. It was really bad. So I left the electrical job, and then I ended up at a car dealership job. And I really didn't like this job. I thought it was cool at first, like the first week or two, and then I realized just the environment, the setting, the people, the energy there just did not serve me. And so I was worrying. Eventually I quit. But then I realized, wait a minute, I needed that. I needed that bad job. It was part of my soul's path, right? It's meant to be. Everything happens for a reason. So I got that job for a reason. I got that bad job for a reason, right? It was planned by my soul. Planned to be a thing that happens in my life. I needed that. Looking back now, like after a few months, I kind of realized why this job came into my life, why I was led to this job in this, really bad environment, kind of the frequencies, the energies there were just not good, like not healthy. Like I could almost see as soon as I walked in, it's like in a basement, dark, no, like barely any outdoor light, just fluorescent lights and a big computer screen in front of you, and I was sitting there like just clicking, typing, all this stuff. It was like for parts, the parts department in this car dealership. And I can remember it. When I walk in, I can almost see like this black cloud, this black fog around this area of the dealership, this basement area. Just, the vibration's not good. But I needed this. I needed that in my life to realize, like, holy crap, man. Like, I do not want to be doing this for the rest of my life. I don't want to be in this kind of corporate environment. These corporate jobs really can drain you. So I needed that, right? I needed that realization for this, I think it was 1 to 2 months I worked there. I needed that 1 to 2 months to essentially shift the whole trajectory of my life. And so now I'm I'm actually going into what I really love, my purpose, which is helping people on their spiritual journey, doing these spiritual talks. This is what I love to do. It's definitely my purpose. So I needed that to end up here. It's like these stepping stones in your life. I've also talked about this before. Sometimes you need a stepping stone to get from one place to the other. And this job, this dealership job, it was a stepping stone in my life. And so when you can realize this, when you can look at it from this spiritual perspective, this soul perspective, that life doesn't just end, when we die, or before. It doesn't start when we're born and doesn't end when we die, essentially. Life is forever, right? We're eternal beings, eternal souls. And so when you see this, and you know that your soul plans out your life, you can kind of just sit back and relax. This is actually a message I got from my guides. They said, you can just sit back and relax, and we'll take it from here. I think this is so powerful. Because when you can just trust in life, you trust that everything's just going to work out the way it's meant to. That everything happens for a reason. Every little thing in your life is there because it's meant to be there. It's meant to teach you something. It's a lesson in your soul's evolution. And you trust that everything's going to work out the way it's meant to. Then the worries, they still come up because, like I said, it's part of your natural being. It's part of your evolution as a human. As souls, we kind of have to work alongside this human body that has all these, wirings in the brain and everything. It's kind of sometimes as the soul, the pure soul that we are, we have to kind of fight with this human body at times, the human brain, the ego, all this stuff as a soul. But, once you can realize what's going on, once you can step back from these worries that come up, they'll still come up. But then when they come up, you can remember that everything is going to be all right. Everything happens for a reason, and everything works out the way it's meant to. Your spirit guides, your spirit team, the universe, the people, the entities and beings that help you, they're always working for you. They're always, you could say they're working overtime to help you, to guide you down the paths that you're meant to go down. You're not going to end up a place that you're not meant to end up. You're always exactly where you're meant to be. This is a beautiful thing to think about. You're always exactly where you're meant to be. I was meant to be in that crappy job because I needed it. I needed it for my evolution. I needed it in my soul's growth. A stepping stone, right? You're always where you're meant to be. I was also meant to be in those nasty, environments, those nasty work environments during the time I was an electrician. Accumulating all that dust in my lungs and, these crawling through attics. I was meant to be there because then it means that I would quit that job and then go to the dealership job, which would then lead me here to YouTube and, spiritual talks and everything. You see how it kind of just weaves so beautifully? It's all interwoven. Every event, every purpose, everything has a purpose in your life. So it's all gonna be okay. Everything, it all works out. You know, you've made it this far. You're still breathing. Everything's worked out. Even if you're in a crappy job, a bad relationship, whatever, it has a purpose, right? There's a reason for that thing that's in your life. And when you see it from this way, when you kind of see it from this out of body perspective almost, it's like you take a step back and look at the whole universe, the whole soul plan, all this stuff, all this metaphysical stuff that's going on. It's just like, man, you know, you can just kind of take a breath and let life guide you. You don't have to worry. You can just let go. You know, when a worry comes up for me now, it's just like, okay, man, I'm noticing I'm really worried about this thing, but I'm just gonna release it. This is what I do. I like actually do a kind of ceremony where I release my worry to the universe. I release it to, you know, the divine plan that's being created for me. Of course, I still make the good choices related to this thing. You know, I still do the good things because, like I said, we have free will. You know, we should make the choices that feel right to us, the choices that serve us, of course. But once we've done that, once we've done what we can, then release it to the universe, release these worries or these fears to the universe. You know, release it to the higher powers around us. And things just kind of work out better that way because you're trusting in the universe. You're trusting that everything happens for a reason. You trust that everything works out the way it's meant to, because it does. And that everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. Because it's all divinely planned out for you.